On this channel, I've made videos comparing the $2 bill to the 1, the 10, the 50, the 100, and even the half-dollar coin. But people continue to ask me to make a video comparing the two to the $20 bill. So, here's how the $2 bill compares to the $20 bill. Stick around to the end of this video to see the identity of the person with a unique recent tie to both of these denominations. Can you guess who it is? The $2 and $20 bills don't have much in common as far as current production and usage. According to Federal Reserve data, by the end of 2022, there were just 1.5 billion $2 bills in circulation. The number for $20 bills was 11.5 billion. That makes the 20 the third most common bill out there, after the 100 and the 1. And the ratio makes sense. We see $20 bills all the time, mostly as they are dispensed from ATMs. Meanwhile, the 2 is hardly ever seen, it's frequently hoarded because of the perception of rarity, and as for ATM machines, they'll never dispense them, and only occasionally will they even take them. The bills don't even have similar design tracks, at least since 1928. What they do have in common is a sequence of bill types beginning with these legal tender notes in 1862. In 1869, there were issues of both bills as rainbow notes, given that name because of the colorful tint of their paper. They each proceeded to be issued as national banknotes, silver certificates, treasury or coin notes, and large-size Federal Reserve notes. I'll come back to that last one in a second. The 20 did have a unique run of what was known as gold certificates, issued in 1863, 1882 with recently assassinated President James Garfield, 1905, and 1906. These were mostly created for bank use, not public use, and are in short supply. There is nothing like them in the $2 series. But back to those large-size notes. The 1914 $20 bill was a Federal Reserve note with President Grover Cleveland featured. There was a red seal bill and a blue seal bill. In 1918, bills began being issued directly from specific Federal Reserve banks and not the Federal Reserve System as a whole. These newly designed bills came in all denominations and were known as Federal Reserve banknotes. You can see the issuing district bank clearly on the front of the bill. The back of the 2 featured the famous and popular battleship, while the 20 settled for the same transportation motif established in the 1914 series. See the car, train, plane, tugboat, and steamship. These bills had blue treasury seals and serial numbers, which would be the last time that blue was prominent for each denomination. In 1928, when the size of currency was reduced, the bills began to take mostly different paths. But before we talk about those, a reminder that we're still building up to that mystery individual with a connection to both denominations. Do you know who it is? The redesigned $2 bill was issued as a United States note, a designation on its way to being discontinued, but still assigned to the $1, $2, and $5 notes at the time. The bills featured a red treasury seal and serial number, and the 2 not only retained Thomas Jefferson as the featured president, but it had Monticello, Jefferson's home in Charlottesville, Virginia, on the back. Meanwhile, the 20 had no such continuity. In 1928, 2 versions of a 20 were issued, this gold certificate and this green seal Federal Reserve note. Andrew Jackson replaced Grover Cleveland, and the White House was featured on the back. Of note is that the gold certificates were never released because of the gold recall at the time, but plenty of these bills made their way into circulation, and collectors are bullish on them to this day. A year later, in 1929, another set of 20s was issued, this time a smaller-sized Federal Reserve banknote with a brown treasury seal. While the 20 went through some subtle design changes in both 1934 and 1950, including some added shrubbery on the White House lawn, the 2 went unchanged until 1953, when its red treasury seal switched sides and there was a reduction in the large size 2 on the right, just to name a few changes. Then both bills changed slightly in 1963, with the addition of the words "In God We Trust" on the back. By 1966, the $2 bill had been discontinued due to lack of use, but it was reissued in 1976 to celebrate the nation's bicentennial. This is the design still used today, as the bill continues to be printed and new series years are added to circulation. This bill is a 2017. The 20 also got a facelift, but for entirely different reasons. The bill mostly stayed the same from the 1960s until 1996, when new security features were added, featuring a larger portrait of Andrew Jackson. The White House remained on the back. Then in 2004, the bill we see today was issued. It includes an embedded security thread that glows green when illuminated by UV light. It also features subtle background colors of green and peach, a portrait watermark of President Jackson visible from both sides of the note, and a color-shifting numeral 20 in the lower right corner. And that's pretty much it. For the past 20 and 44 years, respectively, there has been no change to the $20 bill or the $2 bill. But that doesn't mean it wasn't considered. It brings us to the mystery individual who ties both notes together. Somewhat. In 2015, as part of a campaign called Women on 20s, this individual was voted to replace Andrew Jackson on a redesigned $20 bill. This mandate was eventually pushed back, and in 2016, while running for president, Donald Trump suggested this person not replace Jackson on the 20, but instead replace Thomas Jefferson on the 2. The woman in question? You guessed it, Harriet Tubman. After all the hubbub, neither bill is scheduled to be redesigned anytime soon, but when you look at either bill now or in the future, hopefully you'll recall something you learned from this video. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more great $2 bill content.